In this video, I'm going to show you how to set up a continuous deployment project using GitHub as the code repository, Elastic Beanstalk as the PHP web server environment, and AWS CodePipeLine. So the first thing that we want to do is I'm going to go ahead and open up my GitHub account. So let's log in there. And I must have logged in earlier, so here's my GitHub account. Now you can see here that I've forked this project called AWS CodePipeLine S3 Code Deploy. This link will be in the written instructions for this tutorial. So I want to click on services, and Elastic Beanstalk will create a server and a web server environment and a virtual private cloud all in one. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new application, and I'm going to create a web server environment, and I'm just going to leave the environment name as myapp.env. Now if you have never created one before, some of these fields will just automatically be filled in for you. So I'm going to choose the PHP environment, and I'm going to create a sample, use a sample application. Let's go ahead and configure more options here. So you can see that AWS is going to create a platform running PHP 7.3 on 64-bit Amazon Linux. And you can see some of the other services that are being added here. It's created a service role here. There's monitoring service, and it shows me the EC2 instance information. Click Create Environment. And you can see in this console window that it is going through and generating the different elements of the environment, and that will take a minute or two. So we can see now that our environment has been created. It may not quite be done, but it's very close. So now that we've created an environment, we want to create a continuous deployment pipeline. There, it finished up. So we'll go back to services, and I've got CodePipeLine on the left because I've been there today, but if you have never been there, you can just type in pipeline, and it's this CodePipeLine, release software for continuous delivery. I'm going to create a pipeline, and I'm just going to call this pipeline repo, and I'm going to create a new service. I'm going to service role, and this is the name of that role. I'll click next. Now, my code repository is going to be in GitHub, so I'll select GitHub. And I'm going to connect to GitHub. So the way that I get that repository for this project is on the documentation for this tutorial. If you scroll down to get a sample of the copy code in the GitHub tab, there's a link right here. And this code deploy for Linux. And then you want to click on fork. And what fork does is it copies a version of this project to your personal GitHub account. So since I'm already logged in, you can see that it brought me over to my account and shows me the new project. Okay, so I'm connected to GitHub. My repository is this AWS CodePipeline. And the branch is master. Now, where does that come from? Well, in our GitHub repository right now, we only have one branch, so that's the only option that it gives us. And then we select the default here of GitHub webhooks. Next. We're going to skip the build stage. We've got AWS Code Build and Jenkins as options, but we're just going to skip that stage as this is a beginning tutorial. And we say skip. And our deploy provider will be the project that we created in Beanstalk. So when I select Beanstalk and click in the application name, it will bring up the applications that I already have and the environment that I have already created. So click next. And then create a pipeline. This will take a few minutes. And you can see that the pipeline repo is in progress. So it made connection to GitHub, pulled a version of the code, and now it's working on deploy. That'll take another minute or two. All right, so now that our pipeline is created, I can go ahead and click here on AWS Beanstalk. And here is our Beanstalk application. Click on that. You can then access the link to our website that we pulled from GitHub. And here's what it says. So if I wanted to edit this, I could go to my GitHub account, my CodePipeLine project or repository, click the edit button. Then I could make some changes to this. For example, I could change this for next steps. I could say, I love salmon. And when I commit my changes, I can go back to my pipeline. And you can see that it's in progress. So what it's doing is, after I did the commit in GitHub, it's pulling the changes onto my Elastic Beanstalk project, PHP page that was changed. So once that completes, this says for next steps, read the AWS CodePipeLine documentation. I changed it to I love salmon, and now you can see the change. So that's just an introduction to using AWS for continuous deployment with GitHub, but you could use other repositories as well.